Okay, so in preparation for the final exam, I would go to the content area and take a look at the rubric, which looks like this. And I'd make sure that I have a sheet already created for each one of these items. All right, the site location and the sheet list, door and window schedule, 4 plans, basement, first, second, and roof, 4 elevations, front, left, rear, and right, or Revit goes south, north, east, and west, which is fine. And then I would have several section sheets already created. So if we take a look at my sheets here, I have more sheets made because I'm using a template that has other sheets made on it already. But I definitely have those, my sheet list and my site location. I put the sheet list on the first sheet, and we just do a screen capture and identify where the location is. Make sure that your name and the class number is here down at the bottom of your title block. You have these title blocks made ahead of time, hopefully, and make a window schedule. You can see that my window schedule has many more items than are necessary. But if we go to the door schedule, this is really all I'm looking for, is a type mark, a width, and a height. That's really all that I need in the schedule. You don't need any renderings, but I do want let's go back to the rubric and see what else. We do want door, window schedule. Now we go to the basement plan. So let's go back to that Revit sheet and take a look at the basement plan. Nothing there. Why? Well, I haven't put it on there yet. So I will go to my basement plan, drag it over here, and make sure that it's on the sheet, sort of like that. Now, let's go back to the first floor and talk about what I would do in preparation. Now, throughout the class, we talked about the 3 different wall types. This would be the house wall. And I've color coded it. You don't need to do that. There is a wall between the house and the garage, and there is a uh, garage wall. So if we took a look at that in 3D, you can see the 3 different wall types that I've made. I have a house wall, has 2 floors. It has a garage wall, these 4 walls, and then the house garage wall, the wall between the 2. Okay, the difference is primarily that there is no finished material or a material that protects it from the elements outside, like siding or brick, because there's a roof on the garage, so there's no need for the paying to have that exterior finished material there because it's protected, it's inside. So we go back to the first floor plan, and this is how I would set up myself up for the final exams. I would make sure that I have these 3 different wall types located. And then when you look at the handout that I will give you, you'll simply say, well, what does Professor Bryce want this dimension to be? Click on this wall and simply change it to whatever that dimension is. Same thing front to back. What does that dimension Professor Bryce want it to be? Click on the wall that you want to change, and maybe he wants it to be 50 feet. And then come down here, double check what that should be. Now, I know that I've told you that I want even inch dimensions, but I actually want that in the basement. So if we go down to the basement plan, you'll see, if we zoom in on that, that those are even dimensions. The basement pour is an even dimension, but in order for the gypsum board to line up, if we go back to the first floor plan, we want the gypsum board, which is this inside line, or these 2 lines here representing the gypsum board, that should line up with this wall, as well as when we get inside, this gypsum board and this gypsum board should line up. So in order for an even basement dimension, well, this wall can't be an even dimension. Now, on your final project, I won't have an issue with that. If your exterior dimensions are all even, that's fine. So now look at this one. This one is not going to be even because this one isn't even. This one can't be even, and have the basement to be an even inches dimension. But anyway, here's what I would do. I would put my 2 sections in, and only 2 sections. Let's go to that. Go to view. I have all of my levels. I see this doesn't look good, so I would pull this down a little bit. We know how to do that by simply clicking on it and looking for that little squiggly. I call it a cedilla, and we can move it down. This one looks like it needs to be moved up. Now I can't see it, but I know it's there. So I have to have some confidence that if I hover over it, I'll find it. And now on this one, I'll click on the level, and I can see that little dot right there, so I'll drag it up. I'm going to have to drag it up a little bit more, because you know that we do these drawings to provide information to someone who's actually going to build it. And if we have text on top of text, then they have a difficult time understanding what we want of them. There's that little squiggly. And of course, if you're going to waste time doing this in the 3 hours and 20 minutes that you have, that would be a mistake on your part. Have this all set up ahead of time. Now look at that. All of my, oh, that's still not true. This one doesn't look good. So I'm going to hit that little squiggly. Now they all, oh, it still doesn't look that good. I'll click on this guy, and I want text on top of text, because we need to be able to read that when we print it out. Okay, so now that section is very good. If I go back to the first floor plan, and I forget which one I was looking at. Were we looking at this one? Let's go to that view. Everything looks good there. And so we'll go to this one. Yep, everything looks good there. So now when you go to your, after you've got your floor plan for setting this up for your final exam, before you actually do it, you're in good shape. When you actually create the outline and the interior walls the way you want it, then you can duplicate the sections by simply, let's click on that section and go to view. Now, the reason I did that is when I come down here, I'll see what that section is. It will be highlighted, so I won't have any question about it. It should be highlighted. It is. Oh, these are my sheets. Back up to the sections, and it will be highlighted. Sections are minimized, so I hit the little plus sign, and there it is. Now, if I want to duplicate this view with detailing, and now you can see that it has duplicated the view, and all of the sections are clean and organized the way that we want them to be. So back to the first floor plan. Lay out your 3 walls, your garage walls. Put your house garage wall here, and put your outside walls of the house there, and you'll be in really good shape. You might also want to put in an architecture wall. We're looking for a 2x4. Let's see if we have one here. All right, let's go up. We're looking for an interior 2x4. Let's see if we have one. And 2x4. Yep. Where's the base of that? First floor. Where's the top of it? Top of first floor wall. Yeah, I might just put one in there. I'm setting myself up now, of course, for the final exam. So now I have a wall in there already. So if I didn't have it, it wouldn't be a big deal, but I think it helps there. And oh, you know what? We could put the stairs in now too, but we don't know what the shape is. You won't know that till the final exam. Let's pull these out a little farther. Get them away. Okay. So that is kind of what I would do for my setup. I would make sure by looking at the rubric that I have a sheet for every single item that I'll be looking for. And I will simply look at your final exam, and I'll say, did they do a site location in a sheet list? And if they didn't do it, then I will click on this button here, which will allocate 0 points for your score. If I look at it and I say, well, they have a sheet list, but they don't have a site location, well, they didn't do a very good job, but it's competent. I'll click on this button. And if you did what I'm looking for, I'll click on this button. And I will do that for every single one. This is a rubric. And Blackboard automatically scores all of the boxes that I click. And then it simply allocates that to your grade in Blackboard. So we don't want to spend time making these sheets. You have 3 hours and 20 minutes. So you do not want to do that. What you want to do is have all of this already made with all of the items that I'm looking for so that you're ready to go. When you see at 12 o'clock on Friday, I think it's the 19th. Yep, Friday the 19th. At 12 o'clock, the final exam will open up on Blackboard. You'll have a PDF of what I want you to duplicate. You need to do those 4 plans, the roof, first, second, and basement. You need 4 elevations, left, right, rear, and front. And then we don't know how many sections yet, so I would do extra sheets for sections. There's no penalty for submitting uh, blank sheets that do not have sections on them. What I'm looking for is the total required sections. And if you don't have the extra section, if you don't have filled, if we only, for example, let's say we only need 1, 2, 3, 4 sections. Let's say we only need 4 sections. Well, you don't need to take time to remove those sheets from your submission. I won't give you any less credit for having blank sheets because you don't need to take time to not print those. That's fine for me. So anyway, that's the setup that I would recommend that you have done. You don't have to color the walls in. I simply did that so that you could see the difference in the 4. And I would set it up something like that. I think that my final floor plan will have something like that. The garage wall will extend out here a little farther. And then but what happens if, let's say, this is really supposed to be, if we click on this wall and we look at that dimension, and maybe it's supposed to be 24 feet, okay? Well, that means, look at that. That wall stretched out there too. This didn't clean up that quite well, but I'm not going to penalize you if Revit doesn't clean those walls up adequately. But let's go down to the basement real quick and just see what happened down there. Look at that basement wall is still beautiful. Okay, so that's what I'm looking for. You might want to move that section over. And so if I go down to that sheet, I would actually put that on my sheet already so that it's already there. So let's well, that's a section key. We don't need that one. That's, like I said, this comes from a template that I use, but let's find basement floor here. Floor plan, basement plan. Here we go. Yeah, it's already on there. And depending upon the size of the house, you might need to actually move it around after you have created it. But look, I would put these. I would put the basement plan on that sheet already, so that all you have to do is just click on the sheet and then move it around. I'm using the arrow keys on the keyboard now to just nudge it over into a little bit better place. And so that's the setup for the final exam, which I would highly recommend you bring to the exam already set up and created. The window schedule and the door schedule will populate themselves. The sheet schedule will already be populated because if we go to that sheet, you've made a sheet set. It tells us the sheet number and the sheet name. And that sheet list will already be populated. Every time you make a sheet, there will be the schedule will automatically populate. You can bring it down a little bit more. Try to get it even. Not necessary. I'm not going to look at that. What I will look at is, do you have a sheet list and the site? Those are the things that I'll be looking at. So I hope this helps you out in preparation. If you don't come prepared with your final exam ready to go, you'll be utilizing valuable time, because remember, you have 3 hours and 20 minutes to complete the final exam and then print it as a PDF, one sheet, one file, not individual files for each drawing. If you do submit individual drawings, I will only look at one submission, and I will grade that as if it is your complete submission. And that you'll be ready, then you'll be ready for the final exam. But you want to submit that on or before 3:20 in the afternoon on the 19th. Anything submitted after 3:20 will not be looked at. So if you do all the work and you don't get it printed and submitted by that time, then you won't get credit for it. So it's really important to have your work ready to go, and simply do the easy part, which is take a look at what I have uh, set out in the PDF for you to actually do. And then you simply have to modify the walls and put in some inside walls to satisfy that. You'll put in windows and doors as I show them. You do not have to have the same window sizes that I have. You simply have to have windows and doors in there. So if I have a 3-foot wide door and you put in a 2.5-foot wide door, I'm not going to say that that's incorrect. I just want to see that you can put the door in. So those are the things that you want to do. So I hope this helps you in setting up for the final exam.